Hi, I'm Maud Mostly. My pronouns are they, them, and welcome back to Tunes Tuesday, where I am joined by queer, 2S LGBTQ plus bands and musicians to talk to them about their music, their experiences, and much, much more. Today, I am joined by Toronto-based alternative metal band MONSTROSA. Hello, folks. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hello, thank you so much for having us. I'm Lauren, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm the lead singer and I play guitar in the band.
I'm Emma. My pronouns are she, her, and I play guitar in the band.
And I'm Shannon. My pronouns are she, her, and I play bass in the band.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I want to start by talking about your debut self-titled album was released recently in 2020. So as emerging artists, how did it feel to be releasing your first album during a time when you can't publicly celebrate, you couldn't play shows or tour?
Yeah, I think it was funny because for all three of us, this was our first time ever releasing music, which was super exciting. And also, obviously with like the pandemic, there comes a sense of isolation. Um, I feel fortunate that because we did in the springtime. So following that, we were able to, distance safely outside and like wear masks. So following it, for example, we did a performance of Axes outside and we were able to just, you know, be safe and like do all that stuff. Cause I think honestly, like it was really hard not being able to celebrate with other people. Like there's definitely, and a lot of musicians will talk about this, like missing live music and missing that connection with people and and even just like missing community, like going to gay bars and stuff. Like we can't do that right now. Like, sometimes living at home isn't the best for folks. So it came with a lot of challenges, but I feel like the online community definitely was there. I met so many musicians like from around the world after releasing the album that I may not necessarily have spoken to if we weren't all quarantined and inside. But yeah, it definitely came with its challenges, and I know that we're itching to play live again, but I feel like there was a lot of community building online with other musicians. I don't know if Emma or Shannon want to add anything.
I would just add that like one of the like it kind of sucked as a situation, but one of the positives was while we were preparing for launch, it was like a great thing for us to like collaborate on that we could do from home. So like preparing like our social media posts and stuff like that. We did like a photo shoot from home, which was really fun. It was like super awesome to get Lauren and Shannon's photos and be able to like do some editing and stuff. So that was like a plus to stay connected in that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's really nice to hear about like the positive takes that you were putting on the situation.
for sure. It definitely helped stay connected with because it was the early months of quarantining when we released our album. So it helped us sort of stay in touch and like check in. And definitely the photo shoot was really fun. I'm used to having like, my girls with me hyping me up. So it was kind of interesting to try and do that on our own. And I think as a band, we've all collectively agreed, like we recording was a lot of fun, but we are definitely performing is where it's at for us. We love to perform. So that was hard, but being able to do little backyard performances and then like do them online, that was really fun. And to do a few like Instagram live shows was really fun. So
Absolutely. And I really hope you get the chance to perform again soon. But I want to say I really love the fact that you brought up some of those photo shoots because it's a great leeway into the fact that not only your name, but also your reoccurring social media aesthetic is very playfully spooky. Was there an inspiration for this aesthetic, or did you find you landed on it naturally?
So I illustrated our album cover and I do a bunch of our visuals. And I would say that like a huge inspiration for our visuals comes from the name of our band, Monstrosa. And we love that it kind of has this feminine quality to it, but it also has this like obviously monstrous connotation. And something that we really care about is kind of reclaiming the idea of monstrous because a lot of women are labeled as monsters due to mental health stigma. So um, we really love, recognizing the power and toughness in being cute and feminine and just kind of reclaiming that. We love all things rainbow. We love to kind of have a fun and positive take on covering subjects that are kind of difficult to cover. So it's kind of like a celebration and love letter to the things that we love and care about.
I love that. That's beautiful. Did anyone have anything they'd wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, I remember, like in the early days of the band, Emma would like send me just different drawings she had done of kind of like us as like monsters. And I was like, that is so cool. Like, and it really like, yeah, it just like hits home. And I feel like a lot of people, like, I talk a lot about having borderline personality disorder in a lot of my songs. And like when you're a woman with something like BPD, like you're so demonized. It's like you're manipulative and you're evil and like you're emotional and like, crazy, like really horrible language like that around it. So yeah, and again, just having like kind of like the monstrous aesthetic, but having it be so playful, because it's true, like Emma said, like we want to like bring people joy, even if we're tackling heavy subjects. Like we want them to feel heard, but we also want them to feel empowered and like they're not alone. And like you can live a fulfilling life if you have BPD. Like you can live a fulfilling life if you're part of a marginalized group. Like there's like, yeah. So Emma does such a great job with all the graphics, and yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is so incredibly powerful. I almost feel like I'm like stopping myself from tearing up just because I'm like, wow, that's so nice to hear. And I know a lot of people need to hear that. So thank you for putting that out there. And, as you talk about really addressing these deep and harder and more vulnerable topics, your debut album does feature the song Holo, which incredibly bravely addresses the topic of internalized homophobia. So how did it feel to put a song out on an issue that is so nuanced?
Yeah, I think Holo, it's so interesting because I wasn't sure how people were gonna like perceive it when we released it. And songs like Holo and Diagnosis, which are a lot heavier, like it helps so much having Emma and Shannon when I rehearse it because it can be really emotional and stuff. And again, like they just kind of give me the power to say those things. And I think, yeah, because when we wrote the riff for Holo, it gave me this kind of feeling of nostalgia, and which kind of reminded me a bit of being a teenager and like this feeling of like self-hatred, and especially like hence the flag, but biphobia in particular, just this feeling of like no matter who you date, like you're kind of under attack, and even from people within the community. And I was like, and it's so funny because like you're not alone in those things, but you often do feel alone. And I think like connecting like with both Emma and Shannon, like especially Shannon because she knows about these issues and I could like talk to her about like internalized homophobia and stuff like that. So I think, and actually I'll pass on to Shannon because we're working on a song that also has to do with tackling that issue in the next album. So I don't know if you want to talk about that a bit.
Yeah, I just want to say about Holo, when Lauren like sent me the demo, it was like it instantly became one of my favorites of like our songs. And I just like I found that Lauren captured a lot of like feelings that I've had as a queer person about internalized homophobia, as well as like homophobia like from other people, and just like how much it hurts and just how you feel so vulnerable and alone because of it. So I knew instantly, like, if I felt this way, I knew it was going to like mean a lot to other LGBTQ2S plus individuals. So I was so excited that we were releasing music like that. And yeah, we're working on a song right now where Lauren and I have often talked, because I identify as a lesbian and she identifies as bisexual, about how in the lesbian community in particular, there is a lot of biphobia, and it's really gross, and it's really upsetting that people within your own community can target you when you should try and stick together to fight hate against actual homophobes and biphobes. So yeah, we're writing a song right now. How much are we allowed to talk about that, Lauren?
We can talk as much. Yeah, essentially what the song is about lesbian and bisexual solidarity. And it's super exciting because I don't know, I feel like me and Shannon have that going on really strong, and like I just think it's a message that we're really excited to talk about. And yeah, it's called I Like Girls Like You Do, so that's a fun little
I was so excited
I'm like,
when I
oh,
heard
that's not
it.
the title. Shannon came up with that title and I was like, oh my God. And I just like, I remember when she told me about it, I like went home and I started like writing riffs. I was like, this is going to be like so good. And like, again, like balancing kind of like the dark with the light. I was like, this is going to be like, like it's like a happy punk song. Like we have each other's backs. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, Lauren sent me it because I like to think of myself as a songwriter, but Lauren definitely, like, I need someone to be like, hey, can you work on this, please? I definitely need a push. So having Lauren being like, here, I've like done all this, so can you come up with some lyrics? Like, you know, we shared ideas of how we both want to sort of do it like a collaboration of singing different parts from different perspectives. So I was like, yeah, and it just came together so well, and I'm so excited for it.
I am already so excited to listen to it, and I know other people watching this will be too. So if you want to pay attention to when that song will be coming out, make sure to check out their social media links below, and also listen to some of the other songs that we have mentioned, because all of this has been incredibly powerful, and that definitely translates into their music. So thank you so much for joining me here today. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
Thank you so much for having
Thank you
us.
so much.
This was so much fun. We're so honored.
Yeah, I was saying to Shannon before we came on, I was like, oh, we haven't done like something like this as a band in a while, but yeah, it's so nice. And thank you for letting us talk about our music. You know, I think it was like we got to release it, and it was, you know, again, we were like in pandemic and stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for sitting down with us. And anyone watching, don't be afraid to write music. Don't be afraid to be like bad at it, good at it. It doesn't matter. Like Emma said, like we do this because we have fun and because we love it, not because, you know, we're music snobs and like we think we're better than other people, or we like or shit on people who are just beginning. Like if you want to do music, like don't be afraid to do music and to write, because if I didn't have like these two, I would have never finished a song, because I wouldn't have had that faith in myself. And like you're better than you think you are. So go ahead, say what you want to say, like express yourself in whatever way you want. You got this.
Amazing. What a perfect note to end on. I do not want to add anything to that. So bye, folks.
Brains stop internal.